meetings. But today I will be delivering he will be delivering the training. So that gives me a chance to tell you a little bit about why you should be excited to hear from him today on the topic of hacking behavior nutritionally. Now, I've known Sam since we were 12 years old. So our friendship goes a long way back, and my observation of Sam Hughes goes a long way back. His family has always been very disciplined, and he himself has been very disciplined. As a kid, he was only allowed to eat cereal with sugar in it once per year on his birthday, which I thought was crazy when I was 12, but apparently it paid off. Using that same discipline, he has become one of the most thoughtful behavior architects that I know of, and has used his abilities to complete several Ironman triathlons, ultra marathons, and climb 4 of the 7 tallest mountains in the world. Pretty fascinating. So on top of all that, Sam, something that many of you don't know, is a magician. And he has learned to magically gain or lose 10 kilos anytime he wants, just by changing the tiniest behaviors and making them habit. And that's what he's going to talk to you about today. So I'll turn the time over to Sam to take the rest away.
All right, thank you for that introduction, Michael. It's true, Mike has known me for so long, I was confident he could give a very unique introduction. And I'm sure my mom would be thrilled to hear that he still remembers how she wouldn't let me eat sugary cereal growing up. But today I'd like to talk about a very special topic. And because the topic has to do with our behavior, right? Our behavior is something that directly impacts the amount of happiness, the amount of enjoyment, the amount of success that we see in our lives. Right? So much of that comes down to what we actually do. What are the actions we actually take? And to start things off, I want to share a couple of stories of my personal experience with me trying to implement a certain behavior to achieve a specific outcome that I wanted. Now, the first of these happened when I was working as an analyst for Unicity, and I found out that I was going to be moved to Singapore in just a few months to start working out of the office there. This was back in 2016. And I had 2 months of time in between when I finished my job in the Utah office and when I would go to Singapore. And I was lucky enough to use that 2 months to go climb the tallest mountain in Antarctica, and then right after that, the tallest mountain in South America. And I decided, hey, during these days hiking, I'm gonna have a lot of time to fill. And I wanna get prepared for moving to Singapore, so I'm gonna learn Mandarin. And I found a tool that would give me a 30-minute audio Mandarin lesson that I could listen to while hiking. And it was so easy. I got to the places, and every day I'd have 30 minutes during those 8 to 12 hours that I was walking or climbing to do my Mandarin lesson. And it was awesome. And then I came back to Utah into real life. And all of a sudden I had way less time. Right? I had all these things going on and I needed to find 30 minutes, and it was harder. And then I found out I wasn't actually gonna go. I made the decision not to go to Singapore yet, and instead help Mike with running the Dale Carnegie franchise there in Utah. And so in the end, I didn't learn Mandarin, and I still don't know it, unfortunately. I wish I had changed that. But right after that, one thing I'd done to be successful on that mountain trip is, as Mike mentioned, I gained 10 kgs in just under 2 months, and I put on that weight. And it was an intense program of eating way more food than I wanted to and working out way more than I wanted to. But I needed to do it to be strong enough to carry the packs up these mountains. And so when I got back, right, I didn't want to carry all that weight around anymore. I didn't like the way all of it looked. And I also liked being leaner for some of the sports I like to participate in. And so I started to start a new workout program. And I did some research. I found an awesome program. And I felt, hey, I can do this. And so I committed to it. Day one, I went to the gym. worked super hard. Day 2, I woke up and I could barely move. Right? I was so sore. My desire to go to the gym on day 2 was gone because I could barely walk around. And it totally destroyed that goal. I ended up not being consistent with that program. And after a few weeks, I had to take a step back and create a new one that I could be more consistent with until I finally was able to lose that weight again. But the reason I share those 2 stories is they're both examples of times that I had a specific outcome that I wanted. All right, the first one, I wanted to learn Mandarin. And the second one, I wanted to lose weight by doing a new workout program to help me lose that. And both times I failed. All right, so I'm going to go now to our presentation where we look into, well, how can we hack into our behaviors using nutrition to get as much advantage as possible in doing the behaviors we need to. And so if we look here, right, both of these stories that I just shared, all right, I started with a clear outcome, a clear goal of what I wanted, which is important. I also had everything I needed to succeed in both of those. I had the tools. I had the app that I could do anywhere to help me learn Mandarin. I had the gym pass that I needed to do the workouts. And in both situations, I was relying on my motivation to get me through, to help me be consistent. And in both the stories, I failed. And I would be shocked if there was someone on this call who can't identify with these stories, right? Where we set a goal, maybe a New Year's resolution or something we wanted to accomplish this month, and we did great at first, but then all of a sudden we didn't want it as much as we did a week ago or a month ago. And so our behavior started to slip and it started to disappear. And so to give you a preface about what we're going to learn today, I am not a product trainer. I'm not a product specialist. And I don't know nearly as much about our products and the science behind them as our product experts like Claudia and Winda and McKenna that we hear from most weeks. And because of that, I won't be spending as much time on the science of the products. Instead, we're going to investigate the science of behavior and then see how the products that Unicity has fit into those to help us get what we want. And so to start, I want to introduce you to the behavior model. This is what's called the Fogg behavior model because it was developed by BJ Fogg. And you can learn a lot more about it in his book, Tiny Habits, which I highly recommend. But what this says is that a behavior happens when 3 other things coincide, right? When we have motivation, ability, and a prompt at the same time, then a behavior will occur. If any of those are missing, the behavior won't occur, right? And so the way we can understand this better, though, is by looking at it in a 2-dimensional form or seeing it on a graph. And so if we look at this in a graphical form, well, on the vertical axis, we have motivation. And the motivation has a range from low to high, right? That's how motivated we are to do this behavior. And on the X horizontal axis, we have our ability, which is also a range, right? And there's the range of ability from I'm very able, right? I have a high ability, and so it's easy to do on the right, or my ability is very low. And so this behavior is very hard for me to do. And so as we look at it like this, we can begin to see how these 2 things correlate. And let's look at a few examples. So first example is, let's say we want to get a couple people to donate to a charity for COVID-19. And let's say that the first person is someone whose grandparent has a respiration problem. And so they're very at risk for COVID-19, which makes this person very motivated. And so if we send them a text that says, hey, respond to this text to donate money, right? Well, that's very easy to do. So this is a person that's both has high motivation and high ability, which puts them right here, right there in that top right corner. And so when they receive the prompt, they're going to do the behavior. But if the other person, right, maybe the other person is a 20-year-old kid who's super healthy and lives in Africa, where there's no COVID-19 in most countries right now, right? Well, he's not at risk, and he doesn't even have it around him. And maybe we send him a letter and say, hey, fill out this form to donate to the Red Cross. So it's also the ability. It's much harder to do the action. Well, that would put this person down here, which means that when the behavior happens, or the prompt happens, the behavior won't occur. He won't make the donation. And we can visualize this relationship even more through what we call the action line. Now, what this action line shows is that anytime a behavior is prompted above the action line, right, in all of this area, then we'll do that behavior, right? And on the other side, if a behavior is prompted anywhere below, right, where our motivation or our ability isn't enough, then we won't do the behavior. And as you start to think about this more, you realize how fascinating this is, because we can start to understand the science behind what determines whether we do that action or not. This applies to everything, all human behavior, right? The good habits and behaviors you want to do, and also the bad ones that you don't want to do, that you're trying to stop. And what this teaches us is we have two main levers or things that we can manipulate to help us either do a behavior we want to or stop doing a behavior we don't, right? The first lever we can use is the ability, because by increasing our ability in something, we make that behavior easier to do, which makes us more likely to do it because it requires less motivation. And this is a very important aspect of behavior design, one that I would love to talk about for a long time. And I'd love to talk about it with a lot of you if you're interested, but we're not going to talk about it today, I'm sorry to say, because what we're going to focus on in this training is the other lever, which is our motivation, right? The amount of motivation we feel at a given moment also directly relates to how much of that behavior, right? And that's why we hear stories of people doing incredibly hard behaviors, but they accomplish it because their motivation is so high, right? A great example of this is when you hear about a mother who will fight off a burglar or an invader to their home to protect their children. Or you hear stories of a mother lifting a car off of her child, right? That's a behavior that fits right over here. Most times that would be impossible, right? She wouldn't be able to repeat that every day. But in that moment, because her motivation is so high, she can perform this behavior that would normally be impossible. And so what we're going to investigate today is how can we manipulate our motivation and hack into that to make it so that we're more consistent with the behaviors we want to commit, the behaviors that are going to get us the outcomes we want. So let's look at this in the lens of the goals that I had. Right? When I said I wanted to learn Mandarin, well, I started up in this corner. Right? It was super easy for me to listen to this 30-minute lesson at some point during my 8 hours walking around. And I had high motivation because I was moving to Singapore. I knew that speaking Mandarin would be super helpful to me. But then I came home and I didn't have 8 hours of free time anymore. And it brought, right, me over here where I still had high motivation because I wanted to learn Mandarin to go to Singapore, but it was really tricky. And some days I didn't do it because I was trying to find that window of opportunity to dedicate to my Mandarin. And then when I found out that I wasn't going to Singapore, that I was going to stay here in Utah, well, my motivation dropped to where I was below the line. And on that day, I stopped practicing Mandarin, even though it would have been a great thing, even though I still want to learn it, right? The motivation wasn't high enough and it was too hard for me to do the behavior. And so I never learned, and I still don't speak it to this day. For the workout program, right, this one was different because this one was pretty hard from day one, right? But I had motivation enough to do it because I wanted to lose that weight. But on day 2, I was so sore that it made me push just past the line. I was too sore. It was too hard to do it. My ability went down. And so then when I missed that second day, I already had failed, right? 2 days into my new goal, and I'd already messed up, which that lowered my motivation. So even though I was less sore the next day, now my motivation was down because I thought, oh, how am I going to do this for 2 months if I can't even do it for 2 days? And next thing you know, I failed at that too. Right? I failed at doing that behavior because I dropped below the action line. And unfortunately, that was at a time before certain products were available to me, which might have helped me stay above that line. But this is something that applies to, like I said, all human behavior, right? It's not just when we want to exercise or if we want to learn a new skill. This applies to everything in life. And as we look at the different behaviors we want to do and we want to be consistent with, we can start to see this in our lives, right? Some of us might have a goal and think we want to spend 2 hours a day on our home business, right, on our Unicity business, because we know that if we consistently dedicate time to it, that it's going to produce awesome results, where maybe we can quit the job we don't like, or we can get the lifestyle that we crave. But that's not always easy to do, right? That action, it's pretty hard, but it's also definitely possible. But our motivation changes every day. Some days we feel lots of energy, very motivated, right? And so we do the behavior. But then maybe we have a day that we just get rejected all day long. No one wants to listen to us. And that motivation drops. And so then the next day, right, we don't want to spend that time because our motivation's so low. Or maybe the ability changes because we have a really busy day. And the key is, right, what I want to think about, what I'm asked, the question I want to ask everyone to consider is, well, what can we do to keep our motivation high? Right? Even on a day that we're tired, on a day that we're busy, on a day that yesterday was rough, right? We got rejected or we're sore, right? How can we keep our motivation high enough so that we can stay consistent with our behaviors? Because if we can crack that, if we can figure that out, we are already guaranteed to be more successful in life. And how amazing is that? And because this is such a common problem, right? It affects everyone on this call, and it also affects everyone not on this call. There's no one in the world that is immune to the problem of behavior or a problem of motivation disappearing. And that's because this quote is true, right? Motivation is a wasting asset. A wasting asset is something that you purchase, and then the quality, the value of that thing goes down over time. Now, for example, if I buy a new car today, tomorrow, or even later today, the value of that car is less And over time, it keeps going down. If I buy a machine, right, a machine like a printing press or a tractor for my business, over time, right, the value of that machine goes down because it's like a wasting asset. And motivation is the same way. Motivation doesn't stay consistent. That motivation we feel at the beginning of a goal, wow, I wish it would remain the same the whole time through, but it just doesn't. It goes down until we get something else to boost it back up again. And because the world is so aware that this is a problem that impacts every human being on Earth, you think, right, they must have come up with solutions for this, right? And let's think, well, what is the solution? What is the solution that the world has provided for us to help us to get the motivation boost that we want? And there's actually quite a few of them, right? There's a coffee shop on almost every corner, cafes throughout every city where we can get our coffees, the lattes, the frappes, the mochachinos, all those other drinks that I don't know the name of, right? And when we drink these, the reason these are so common is because when you go and you get that coffee, you get a little motivation boost, a little energy boost to help you be more productive. And we realize we need that to get through our busy days. And so the world has taken advantage of that need and provided these solutions. Other times we can use energy drinks or soft drinks, soda to help us get through the day, give us that boost we need to get the things done, that workout or that busy afternoon, that meeting, the presentation that we have to give. Some people, they rely on candy and sweets, right? And they have that bag of candy or that jar at their desk to help them get through the day. And on really stressful days, that jar will disappear faster, right? Because they need more boost, more motivation to help them get through. And even with sports, right? We've come up with a solution to stay more motivated while doing an activity, while playing a sport. We have those high sugar sports drinks to keep us going, keeping us excited, keep us feeling good. And as we look at all of these different solutions the world has provided, well, the question I have is, are you satisfied with these? Right? Do you look at these solutions and you think, oh, great. Well, that takes care of that problem, right? I'm satisfied. I don't need to worry about it. I can, if I ever need more motivation, I'll just chug an energy drink and be good to go, right? Well, personally, I'm not satisfied. I would guess that none of you are satisfied with those solutions. And well, why not, right? What's the problem with those? Really, we've got two main problems, right? All of those solutions that the world provides have high sugar content, right? And the thing about high sugar, especially in a liquid form, is there's very few things that will be as damaging to your health as that. Because when you drink sugar in liquid form, this hits your bloodstream so quickly that your insulin spikes up extra fast. And it can stay up there, especially if this is something that you're sipping throughout the day or that you keep coming back to, which over time is just disastrous for your metabolic health. On top of that, the other problem is the hidden calories that exist inside these drinks, right? If we're sipping a soft drink throughout the day, before we know it, we've added an extra 500,000 calories to our daily consumption. Those calories count just the same as the other ones. Well, they actually can be worse because they keep our blood sugar, our insulin so high. Or even with the lattes, right? One latte from Starbucks could be over 1,000 calories, right? And if we're adding that on top of the food we're eating, even if we're following a strict diet or working out a lot, that can ruin all the efforts we're putting into being healthy. And those are just the main problems, right? I'm not even talking about the fact of addiction that can take a big role in high sugar or coffee. But just with these problems, right, already it leaves us unsatisfied and it creates problems of itself. If we look back at our behavior model and see how these relate, well, when we use these products or these solutions that the world provided, let's say we have this goal, right? The behavior we want to start of, I want to exercise before I go to work. I want to start exercising in the morning because I know that's good for me and I'll benefit from that behavior. Well, after the first morning, right, when your motivation goes down to normal levels, you'll wake up early to work out, and a lot of days, right, you'll be just below the line. And you'll use one of the solutions that the world has provided to help you get above it, right, to give you that boost to get up above the line so that you can go and do that exercise. And you might think, hey, that's great, right? I got the boost. I was able to do the workout. But the problem with those solutions, right, were the high sugar and the high calories. And the thing is that those create side effects. And what happens is over time, as we rely on those, well, two things will happen. One, it can negatively impact our ability because our health is getting worse. And so the amount of motivation we need as our ability gets lower is greater, right? We need more motivation. And at the same time that that can be happening, the amount of motivation we get from the same solution, right? The amount of motivation you get from one cup of coffee over time will go down. That's why people start with drinking 1 cup of coffee in the morning and it gets them through the day. And you talk to that same person 3 years later and they're drinking 6 cups of coffee to get through that same amount of work. And so not only is the ability getting lower, but the motivation also gets smaller. And we have to drink, right, 3 energy drinks or 4 cups of coffee to get us above that line, to stay consistent with the behavior. And all this time, it's damaging our health. Right? This is why the solutions that are provided by the world are so frustrating. Right? It's not really giving us the solution that we need. And when I think about this, it makes me ask this question. Why should we have to choose between health and motivation? Right? Why is it that I need to sacrifice my health in order to be productive for the next hour or to work hard through the afternoon? Right? We shouldn't have to make that choice. And so with everything we've learned so far, this has been to set the stage for us to talk about a real solution to this problem. And that's what Unicity has created. As you can see, not all of it, but a little bit, right? Unimate is the real solution to this motivation problem that affects all of us. And before we get into more of the science of why Unimate is such a great solution, well, let's look at how it compares, right? Not compares in how it motivates us, but in everything else. Because you'll notice that in this chart, hey, this doesn't talk about caffeine, right? All of these 4 options have caffeine. And that caffeine is part, it's not everything that gives us the motivation boost, but it's a part of it. But, right, we don't drink any of those things, right? The reason we drink all of these solutions is for that motivation boost. But some of them have other things we get as well, right? In addition to our motivation boost, we're getting a lot of sugar, sometimes a ton of sugar, and we're getting calories. But Unimate is not like that, right? We drink Unimate for the motivation, and that's what it's designed for. It's not giving us anything extra on the side, right? It's a product designed purely to help you boost that motivation, to help you be productive for those next 3, 4, or 5 hours so that you can get the behaviors done that you want to. But now let's talk more about the science, right? Why is Unimate so effective? Well, these are numbers that many of you have seen before, right? McKenna Myler shared these in her product training just over a month ago. And as we look at these, right, it's obvious that, well, Unimate has a lot of chlorogenic acid. But so what? Right? What does that mean? Why? And if we look at what that is, right, we can look at the science and we'll learn that chlorogenic acid, right, when we drink a cup of coffee, the chlorogenic acids that the coffee has stimulate the part of our brain that makes us excited, makes us ready to get up and take action, makes us ready to tackle that next obstacle in our path, gives us the boost we need. It's actually much more influential in many cases than the caffeine in helping us be productive. And just looking at the actual yerba mate powder, right? If you look back thousands of years ago, maybe not thousands, but hundreds and hundreds of years ago, right? The local people in Argentina and in Brazil, where yerba mate is grown, were sipping it all the time. Right? This was before biology was even invented. They had no idea about the science about chlorogenic acid. But they would sip this product, this yerba mate, all day long, and even more in times of famine. The reason they did that is because it worked, right? They saw the results. And today, in the Unimate product that Unicity provides, we found the way to increase that to unbelievable levels. And so when you look at drinking a cup of coffee and you think, hey, I do this because it gives me a boost, right? I drink that green tea because this gives me the boost to help me get more done in my day. I drink that dark chocolate, or I eat that dark chocolate to help me get a little happiness boost. Well, how much more of it would be helping us if we took Unimate? How much more of a boost how much more would we be able to get done with an additional boost? And so if we look at the clinical results from Unimate, well, clinically shown to have a 20% increase in your happiness. How much more do you get done when you're happy than when you're upset or when you're just meh? And this other very special thing that I love about Unimate is that it gives us a 5% increase in aerobic performance and a 13% increase in resistance or weightlifting performance. What does that mean? Well, what that means is, yes, it does mean that we can run further, right? 5% further with that same amount of time by drinking Unimate first, and we can lift 13% more weight when we're lifting. I mean, that's already a huge difference, but if you notice, right, this is showing that Unimate does not only impact the motivation side of the behavior model, but it also impacts the ability, right? Unimate is improving our ability. And so it's moving us to the right on that behavior model and making it easier for us to do hard behaviors, which helps us to get more behavior done. And at the same time, it's giving us a huge motivation boost to help us be extremely productive without any negative side effects. Because that was the problem with those other solutions, right, that the world has, is all those side effects. And so we could ask about Unimate. Well, what about the side effects of Unimate? Well, the side effects of Unimate are pretty amazing, right? By taking it consistently in the clinical studies, the people lost weight. And they lost centimeters off their waist, off their hips, their chest. Right? All of these benefits were side effects. The reason that I say they're side effects is because when Unicity launched Unimate, this wasn't the reason that they launched it. Right? They didn't. Some of these side effects, these benefits that we can see, Unicity didn't even know about. Unimate was launched because they recognized the huge impact it has on boosting people's motivation, boosting our ability to do difficult behaviors consistently. That's why within a month of being introduced to this product, when we discovered it, Stuart was started to use it and already said this should become $1 billion product, because there's nothing that competes with this. Nothing can impact your life as far as the behaviors you do as much as this product. It's incredible. And now, years later, we've also discovered these amazing side effects that the product carries along with it, with none of the negative ones that the competition gives us. And so let's come back once again to our behavior model and see how the Unimate compares here. Because if we remember, right, we had our Red Bull that we might drink, or our coffee that we drank to get us over the line to do our workout. But over time, that brought us over here. Now, when we change that to Unimate, right, well, we drink that Unimate, and one, we get a much bigger motivation boost, right, that will last longer. And if it goes away, because it won't last forever, right, motivation never sticks around forever, we can take another one. I remember in last week's training, someone asked, what's the maximum amount of Unimate you can take? And to be honest, I don't know. I don't think I'd want to find out, because to find that out, you'd have to take as much enough to kill someone and then say, okay, a little less than that. And I don't think that's something we care to find out. But I know that there's people who have taken upwards of 7 sachets in a single day, and we're fine. Really, what you should do is listen to your body, right? Do you need the motivation to get through the next few hours? And if I take this product right now, am I going to be able to fall asleep? Right? Because that's the real danger. If you're too motivated, have too much Unimate, you might lose sleep. But I've taken 4 of them in a day and slept like a baby because I just stopped before a certain time. But the other key thing about this behavior model, right, is instead of moving us to the left, the Unimate helps us move faster to the right. So that over time, as we continue exercising, we're getting the great side effects of Unimate, we're getting the performance bonus, and we're getting all the results from our exercise, because we're not sabotaging it with the negative side effects of the lattes or the soda or the energy drinks or the candy or the high sugar sports drinks. Right? And so we're increasing our performance until pretty soon, right, we might not even need that any sort of boost to get us over the line. Right? Our ability has grown so high that we can do this without that boost. But likely, right, instead we'll just get harder workouts, we'll improve. We'll add more things that we want to do, more behaviors we want to accomplish, and keep using that Unimate motivation boost to push us past the line. This, I mean, I can't talk enough about how much this little hack that we've been discussing can impact your life. Right? Unicity has so many products that are life-changing, but Unimate is unique because it doesn't just change your health, it changes your performance and what you get done every day. And as you get more done every day, your life is made better in so many ways other than just your health. And so I do want to talk about some other, briefly, products that Unicity has that are great, healthy motivation boosts. And these are great alternatives. And the reason I didn't spend more time talking about them in the training today is because, frankly, they really don't compete with Unimate as far as giving us a motivation boost. Nothing in the world does. It's truly unique in that sense. But that being said, these are products that have different purposes that also do give us a healthy motivation boost. So they're great alternatives to some of the solutions the world provides. The first of these, which is our most economic solution, is the Bio-Reishi coffee. And this is a great alternative to a latte that you might get at Starbucks or another coffee shop that has incredible other health benefits that come from the other mushrooms and, well, the reishi extract that they include in this coffee. And so for extremely economical price, we can still be lessening the negative side effects we would have gotten from something else and getting some positive side effects along with that small motivation boost. Another one that I know is a favorite of many of you from my conversations with you is Bio-Reishi or matcha for our friends in Australia. Right? This is an amazing product, which definitely delivers an awesome motivation boost. And it has a whole host of other benefits, right? It gives us the motivation boost because it gives us energy. But I want to be clear that we shouldn't think of BioSlife E as just an energy drink that doesn't have sugar. It's so much more than that. This is not just an energy drink. All right, this is an entire metabolic enhancer, metabolic boost that provides your body with focus and with energy to help you get done. It also helps your immune system. It helps you recover quicker from workouts. And so there's a whole host of benefits this provides. And right, these are all great options that we can use throughout our day to help us get that boost. For me, Unimate is my go-to. Right? If I need something, if I need a serious boost, that's what I use. But on a lot of days, because I love BioSlife E, I'll have my Unimate hot in the morning, and then in the afternoon, I'll take that BioSlife E. And other people switch it up. You got to find what works best for you. But the main idea is we look at this and we think, hey, you know, there are a lot of behaviors that I want to be doing, right? There are goals that I have yet to achieve because if I'm being honest with myself, I failed to do the behavior, right? I wasn't consistent enough. And if I had more motivation, I believe I could be consistent enough with those behaviors to get the outcome I want. Whether that's related to your Unicity business, related to your health, or related to an entire other skill or relationship that you have, right? If you're looking for a motivation boost, then it's as easy as hopping online, right? Getting on your computer, getting on your phone, and getting that motivation boost sent right to your door so that you have it on hand whenever you need it. And as you start to use that, you will see that this is a tool to help you be more effective. It's a true advantage that we have and that we can provide to other people. It's special. If there were one product that Unicity were going to eliminate that would break my heart, it would be the Unimate product. And so that's why we never will, because it's unique. And as you can see, the Unimate fuel products are also a great solution, right? They still provide that awesome metabolic or motivation boost, but they also carry some very healthy MCT calories, right? So if you want to use it as a way to help you get to the next meal or skip breakfast in a way that won't impact your insulin, the Unimate fuel is a great option. But if you have any trouble or any questions about the Unimate or any trouble ordering them, please contact us, right? Here's the email accounts for whichever country you're in to reach out to our customer service and ask us any questions, right? We're here to help you, and please let us help you. Don't hesitate to reach out with your questions, with your concerns. But as a final note for this, as we look at this behavior model that we learned today, and we saw how Unimate and some of Unicity's other products can help us stay above that action line, right? The message I want to drive home is, well, one, I hope more of us will look at the behaviors that we have, that we want to do, and think about how can I adjust my ability or adjust the behavior to spend as much time as possible above the line. Right? The more time that we spend above the line doing positive behaviors, the happier we will be. It's really as simple as that. And so I hope that this presentation will help us to examine our behavior and start to design it intentionally and use the amazing tools we have through Unicity, this amazing product of Unimate, to spend less time down here and get us that boost to be up above the line where the actions happen and we get that success. And so thank you everyone for your time today. And I'm excited to see what we all accomplish by staying above that line.
Thank you, Sam. Excellent presentation. Very well said. it's interesting that we often think of our products that we sell in an oversimplified way. We ask ourselves, is this a good product or is it not as good as I'd hoped? Can I get my friend? How can I get my friend to try it? But your presentation helps us to think of different questions to ask, such as, what problems do I have? How could I use this product as a tool to solve my problem? And who has a similar problem to the one I'm trying to solve? So I think we'll take about 5 minutes for questions. Is that okay, Sam?
Yeah,
And,
definitely.
and maybe to make, we'll give you 5 minutes for questions, and then after that, we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, so I've noticed that several of the questions that people have already asked are about the sugar in Bio-Reishi coffee. And this is a great question, right? And it's a topic because the Bio-Reishi coffee is an older product of Unicity's, right? It's been around for a long time, and the recent direction that Unicity has gone in of being more low carbohydrate really doesn't agree as much with what we see in Bio-Reishi coffee. But that being said, right, it's still an amazing product with incredible health benefits. And so when you're deciding whether to use this product or not, you just need to think, well, what are my goals, right? Carbs are not evil necessarily. I know that we talk about being low carb, and a lot of our products help facilitate a low carb lifestyle, but that does not mean that carbohydrates themselves are evil, and they can actually be used for a lot of good. And so if someone has decided that they want to live a low carb or even keto lifestyle, then likely the Bio-Reishi coffee would be a product that you won't be using, right? And instead you'll be using Unimate fuel or Unimate. But if someone's not trying to stay in that extremely low carb zone, well, then the Bio-Reishi coffee could still be a great product, right? The amount of sugar in it isn't going to have terrible effects, and it can actually be a great little boost to take as a pre-workout, because it gives you some of that sugar that you can then burn off in that exercise, what you do in the morning. But whether you decide to use it, right, that comes down more to the lifestyle choices that you're trying to choose right now. If you're doing low carb, right, and I talk to people in the company that they have keto days and non-keto days. And on their keto days, they don't drink the Bio-Reishi coffee. But on their days where they're not doing keto, yeah, they love it, and they enjoy it a lot. And so just think about what are your goals and decide what's going to be the best tool for me. And that's something we have to do all the time. Unicity has so many tools for us to choose from in their different products, and none of us can really consume all of them. So we have to think, well, what is it that I want in my life? What are my goals? And which are the best tools for me to select to get me to those goals? Let's see.
It looks like that might have covered the questions. Everybody was wondering the same thing.
Unless... Yeah, and one more note about that, since that's the main question. I think no one would be sad to finish up a little early, but we are looking at upgrading that Bio-Reishi formula. And so there's nothing official announced. This is kind of a teaser, right? Who knows? I might even get in trouble for mentioning it. But keep an eye out in the coming months for another alternative that you can use for that product. And so kind of exciting. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite me, but accident, right? I might have said it. Oh, it's out now. Too late.
We'll slap his hand after this training. Well, our challenge to you is to go over this training and write down 2 takeaways that you could share with your team or with your clients. Try to pull out some of these nuggets that have been provided in this training and really prepare a way to communicate those to people who you want to speak with about Unimate or other products that could help them come above the action line. So with that, thank you all very much for tuning in today. And we will see you next Thursday at the same time.
Yes. Thank you, all of you. Have a great day. I am going to bed. Have a great one. See ya.